So here we are. It's Love TTT, and if I don't sound like Derek Bucock, it's because I'm not Derek Bucock. I'm afraid he's indisposed again this week, so you've got me again, Dave Morrison from the West London VR series, commentating on James Ogilvy's wonderful Love TTT, brought to you by OTR Racing, of course, and the production by ZMS and Damon Bates for you to enjoy tonight. Now, we have 6 of the teams racing head to head, and this is a golden opportunity for some people because NZ Bro couldn't race because they had in real life commitments this week and couldn't get the teams out. So let's see who pinches some points in that. Looking at this is Havana. And there's obviously a joke there somewhere about the winner gets a cigar and the runners up, I suppose, are close but no cigar. Havana, Cuba, they're fairly urban again, and it's not a loop or anything like that, so it's fairly along the coastline, and it's pretty flat. I mean, when I say it's pretty flat, it's almost perfectly flat. And I do say this because I have ridden this week, so if my name crops up in one of the lower ranked teams, that's because I was there making up the numbers for you. But now I'm making up the commentary here with ZMS for OTR eRacing's Love TTT Series 2 Week 3. 6 teams head to head. You know you're going to love it. Let's see what's going on. So the teams we've got today, 3 are True 2, OTR Blue and OTR Eureka, they're James's teams. Viper, they are a collective of riders, not necessarily from the same base. And my 2 teams, West London VR1 and West London VR2. Now, these are in slightly different divisions, so it's not as clear cut as it may seem. 3R True 2 and OTR Blue, West London VR1 and Viper are in the top league. The second league's got West London VR2 and OTR Eureka, and the 2 NZ Bro teams that aren't racing today. So West London VR2 and OTR Eureka have a golden opportunity to pick up points against the NZ Bro team. So we have 6 up there. We're about to start. You can tell the colours, the green, white and black is OTR, blue, pink and white are the West London teams, 3 are True 2 in blue, white and red, and the pink is Viper. And nice to see all the Viper team in the same kit this time. They weren't last week. So they're all off, and we are going to have little breaks, and we can see at the 10 mile, well, no, at the 10 mile point, that's it's a 10 mile race, isn't it? 16.1 kilometres. So I think there probably will be timing splits, but if there's not, then so be it. So we have 3R True 2, probably the strongest team in this today, with the absence of the NZ Bro teams. They've only got 5 riders out today. Rasmussen, Willis, Orr, Jeffries and Foulon. Quite an international lineup, 2 Americans, 1 Dane. I don't know where Willis comes from, but that's the Ukrainian flag, of course, showing his support for the Ukrainians, and Foulon from Belgium, of course. Now, this is a good lineup. They've got 5 in a row, and it's quite a neat row. This isn't easy to do. If you haven't done this, and you're watching it, this is not, in terms of sitting on somebody's wheel, it's not quite like real life, and that takes a little bit of training to sit tight on somebody's wheel. This is a little bit harder because it's very easy to ping past somebody, and if you accelerate too much, you'll ping past a slingshot through the guy in front, and if you ease off too much, suddenly there's a gap. It's a lot harder to keep the gap, and it takes a bit of expertise, and you'll see with any new teams, keeping that line is difficult. The 3R True 2 have got a very tight line there. West London VR V2 have got quite a tight line at the moment. OTR Eureka, same thing. Again, the OTR team's well drilled. Who we got in here? Barkley, Peter Austin from Leatherhead, Gordon Jackson in there, and the dude from Italy. I don't know him. So I know Pete Austin and Gordon Jackson very much, and this is quite tight. This is good riding from OTR Blue. You'd expect that. I mean, these are decent riders. Only 4 riders, so they're going to have to work a little bit harder. But there's a big debate out whether if you had 2 more and they burnt themselves out in the early stages, it saves a bit of energy for your top 4 if you like. But on the other hand, if they're going to be dropped very, very early, then there's confusion as to whether you actually wait for them and lose time waiting for them, when they don't really have the ability to contribute on the front. So it's very fine tuning to get these teams out. You remember these 6 riders is what you're allowed, and as any team organiser will tell you, getting all 6 out on one day is not always easy. Warren off the back there, he's probably the strongest rider in the team actually. So Warren just sitting off the back, he's, as I say, he is. I can't understand this. I didn't actually watch it when they did it. It's my team, but I didn't race with the one team, and I can't understand Warren being off the back. The team, Julian Fussell and Emma Lockett, there's a lady in the team, Nicolo Martinoli, Pete Dickerson, who's the road captain, and Stuart Thorne, who's look at Warren sitting off the back there. He's probably the strongest rider as well, conserving all that energy off the back of Pete Dickerson. Pete Dickerson, once a Category 1 rider when in his younger days, doing well out here for us at the moment. So who else have we got? That's what's on the VR. We've done the OTR teams. Let's have a look at Viper in that striking pink kit, which I rather like. Only 4 riders out today. Sorry, I beg your pardon. There's 5, but there's only 4 riders in that group. They've lost Blackmore off the back, which is a bit unfortunate. O'Hearn, Hardin, Little and Arribas from Spain making up the 4. Looking fairly neat and tidy though, the 4. They might have lost a rider, but the 4 that are there are working well together. This looks good. And let's have a look at the rankings at the moment. You can see on the right hand side we've got one more team to look at, which is Eureka. Oh sorry, 2 more teams, West London VR2 as well. But when you look at the side there, you can see who's where. And 3R2, OTR Blue and West London VR1 have moved away from the rest of the pack. Viper, they're making up a little ground on West London VR1, and they want to. They're rivals in the competition. And Eureka off the back on 13.7 to go, and that's the amount left to go. West London VR2, that's me on the back there with Gautam Thakkar, and we have, who do we have? Tobias York from Sweden and Eileen Davidson from up there in Scotland, in Aberdeenshire, making up the team. I'm not generally a racer in these. I do tend to make the numbers up, but organise the teams, so that's why I'm there. And it's very difficult to commentate because I know exactly what this is going through. And you can see if you look at the bottom, well, the team that I'm in there has, that's the big blob on your screen at the bottom, and that's where they're at. So we've gone over the little sort of browny orangey bit where there was a little bit of a rise early on, and it's fairly easy from now as Eileen just drops off the back and puts a bit of effort in to catch up. So obviously I know it's a bit too much about this team, so I won't commentate too much on them, and maybe we can have a look at Eureka instead and see how they're getting on. Eureka and West London 2 will be battling it out for the bottom spaces in League 2, mainly because the 2 NZ Pro teams will take the top. But if one of these 2 teams can get a good result today over the other, it's a chance to make up some ground. It's a great opportunity. They have 6 riders out, but something seems to have gone awry because 3 of those riders are way off, and they're left with a team of 3. Which is Buss, Elliott and Padden. An all-American team here, of course. Robinson, G and Grange making up the team, but Grange Grange isn't riding. I think you can look at that. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen in 7th space, he's behind the camera, 3.47 kilometres. No watts per kilogram means he's not moving. That is probably a Tacanical and a dropout, and that means they're down at 5 riders. But Robinson and G already 200 or nearly 300 metres and nearly 600 metres off the back of the front 3. So the front 3 are putting the pressure on and going forward, making a good time. A little bit ragged there as Elliott loses the other 2, but this is very easy to do. It's you go on the front and you start. I don't know. You're coming from sort of the back. You're in the draft. You put a bit of extra effort in because you know you're going to hit the wind and lose the draft. And if you put too much effort on, what you do is go a bit too fast for everybody else and you create that gap. But they've got themselves nice and tidily back on fairly quickly. So well done OTR Eureka, and now riding as a neat little unit along the flat section. 3R True 2 as we work our way round the 6. Now 11.4 metres left. and West London VR1 are up there with 3R True 2 and OTR Blue at the moment. Viper not far behind. I think they've slightly narrowed that gap to West London VR1, maybe 300 metres, but 200 to 300 metres. So it's close. But 3R True 2 and OTR Blue, a good 100 metres in front of West London VR1. So in the second league, West London VR2 now 200 metres ahead of OTR Eureka. We've got 11.9 kilometres to go. So that's the running order. That's the 6 in the order they are. And of course, that's very neat for us to understand, because the top 4 in that list are the League 1 teams and the 2 at the bottom are the League 2 teams. So you can actually draw a little line above West London VR2 there, and you'll have the 2 divisions. Let's have a look at how neat and tidy 3R True 2 are looking, and they certainly have all 5 riders together in that recognisable kit with the 3R firmly on the back of their shorts there, so you make no mistake in knowing who this lot are. A well-drilled team, neat and tidy, pushing out 47 kph at the moment, and yeah, this is they're third of the way through the route now. This is a 10-mile course. It's 16.1 kilometres. They've done just coming up to 6 kilometres, so 10k to go. This is looking very slick and neat, and you can see they are edging ahead of OTR Blue. If you look on the right hand side, 53 kilometres per hour. This is fantastic stuff, isn't it? I mean, I think this is amazing that you can actually do this, and working as a unit. There's a slight gap there. I think they'll put it together, and there is a little bit of emphasis that the front 2 might just have to ease off, because one of the things you'll find when you ride these, if you do get dropped off and you work hard catching up, you actually tire yourself out to the point where you can't then do the next turn on the front. So it sometimes is worth the guys at the front just easing off a little bit, letting everybody go together, because it's an energy saving that you all benefit for. This is community racing. It totally is. It's team racing, and you really need to work with the other people. Remember, it's the 3rd rider across the line that counts. There's no point 2 going off the front. You can drop everybody else. The 4 from OTR Blue doing absolutely splendidly, actually. They putting in a tight performance in. Just look how tight they are. Excellent stuff. These guys really working as a well-drilled team. And they're losing out a little bit to 3R True 2, but it's not a lot. And it's quite an impressive performance. I mean, 3R True 2 would probably be the favourites at the beginning of this race, but I think OTR Blue are going to give them a run for their money. So come on, guys, let's let's go for this. Let's go and see what we can do. Come on, OTR Blue, put a bit of effort in, make it neck and neck. We like a bit of excitement here on ZMS with OTR e-racing and the Love TTT series, and we're taking a look at my other team, West London VR1. Nicolo has dropped off the back. Stuart Thorne, I'm afraid I do have inside knowledge here. Stuart got a dropout, and his screen completely froze. So down to 4 riders, and we see Warren's still on the back there. Every time we look, he's on the back. I don't believe he spent that much time on the back, because I know he's a strong rider. I just know he is. There's something remiss about that. Maybe we just catch him at the wrong moment. Emma Lockett on the front there. She's a very strong lady. In fact, I went on a 200-kilometre ride with her, a few other people, on Saturday, and she spent most of the time on the front. She's absolutely phenomenal. She is a force of nature, is Ellen. She told me off last week because I kept calling her Emma during the commentary, but it's definitely Ellen, I can tell you, and I should know better because I've known her a few years. So let's have a look at the splits now. West London VR1 just falling off that pace that OTR Blue and 3R True 2 are doing. So I think there's a gap there that says this is now between 3R True 2 and OTR Blue. West London just dropping off now. It's too much of a gap there. Viper are keeping pretty much neck and neck in terms of gaps with West London VR1. They're still that 200 metres behind, so they're keeping the distance steady and probably travelling about the same speed. Looking down, West London VR2 have now pulled out a gap with OTR Eureka, and if they don't get too many mechanicals and things go well for VR2, with 4 riders of course, then they should bag the points in a race in League Two. So the top of the pile we're looking at now, neck and neck, well, not neck and neck, side by side I should say. It's OTR True 2 and OTR, sorry, 3R True 2 and OTR Blue. Somebody just dropping off the back there for 3R True 2, but they've got back on. I mean, it's not tight, but it's still in the line, and I think at those gaps you get a little bit of what's saving, not as much as you get close, and they are closing up together again. And this is on the flat. I mean, sometimes you get the separations on a climb, but that was a little bit surprising there. So again, looking at the bottom, the gap's about the same as we looked at last time. Here's Viper in my favourite, I say my favourite kit. It should be the West London kit, really. That's my team. But I do like this pink, actually. I think it's a sort of salmon pink, isn't it? I do like that. Last week they had a rider in red, but they've all aligned themselves this week. And as I say, it's unfortunate Blackmore's dropped off the back and they're down to 4 riders. But they're riding, I think, quite a tidy little race here. I'm putting out 39 kph at the moment. And I don't know which rider we're actually on, but Parrot 218, Cadence 73. So they're riding it kind of in a steady way. Slightly slower there, 33 kph. I suspect there's a little bit of a ramp. Yeah, plus 1.6 radian. You can see this data in the top right hand corner of your screen. I'm not 100% sure which of the riders it's following, but bear in mind that they're all riding together at the same pace. It will be fairly reasonably accurate for the rider. As I say, the cadence you might find low. It's something I'd probably be doing myself in a higher gear. But the power, look, 325 watts being pushed out is a decent wattage. Araber's just off the back there. There's a gap of 20 meters. Now, in my personal view, 20 meters is the cutoff point. If you slip back any more than that, unless they slow down, you aren't catching them. But look, the gap's coming down. 17 meters now. 15 meters. He's getting back on. Are they slowing down or is he speeding up? I'm not entirely sure. But between the lot of them, they will be working this out. Now, remember, the riders speak to each other. Usually on Discord. This is the favourite one. Actually, that gap's steady at 15 at the moment. Arabas is probably working very, very hard to make that gap up. And you do burn a lot of matches doing this. He's back out at 20 metres now. This isn't looking good for Arabas. I mean, maybe it's just the time to sit up and give up. He's gone out. It's 28 metres, 29. I think he's gone. They're down to 3 riders in Viper. That is going to hurt. Now, what are West London VR2 doing? They are still just about on 4 riders. That's me trying to catch up. I'm a little bit off the back, but I just get back on there. It's Dave Morrison, your commentator, and featuring on the screen at the back. Eileen Davison, and we saw Ellen Lockett off the front leading the men's team, and here we have Eileen Davison doing it for us. The ladies are in full effect tonight, aren't they? Absolutely brilliant. Well done, Eileen. I have to say, unfortunately, Eileen, after this, another evening on, had a crash on a mountain bike, I believe. It was rather gravelly and hurt a bit. So we wish her well. She is injured at the moment. Look, she's off the front again. Oh, what a lady. Fantastic. But we wish her well because, as I say, she did have a bike crash subsequently, and this will affect whether or not she can race next week or in week 4. We shall see. OCR Eureka now, there's a big gap between them and West London VR2 of 500 metres with 7 kilometres to go. Unlikely they'll make that up with 3 riders. Remember, the West London VR2 have still just got 4, albeit that one of them is me. So this All-American team now, so Robinson and G's now over a kilometre back. Yes, the other riders actually pulled out, so we're down to 5 riders on the screen. But of course, the 6th rider was not moving. That was mechanical anyway. So here we are, Bowden, Russ and Elliott. Now, the thing is, you keep riding because on a day like today, you've got the NZ Pro guys not there. Just get 3 over the line and you'll pick up more points than you would have done in another week. So nobody can give up here, and it doesn't matter if you lose really to West London VR2 for 2 reasons. Firstly, you'll pick up 2nd place points anyway, so OTR Eureka are on to a bit of a bonus. Secondly, West London VR only joined the series this week and therefore have less points. Well, they're starting with 0 today. So in actual fact, OTR Eureka are going to have a good result today, even allowing for the dropouts. Unfortunately, I was right. We do have some splits. Here's a 10-kilometre split. I had hoped we would. I wasn't 100% sure whether we would or wouldn't on a 16k one, but we have. This is the excellent service you get from ZMS, of course, every time. 3R True 2, 14:35. OTR Blue 15 seconds off. That's going to be hard to close, and the gap really eking out now to we're not quite a minute from the top of West London VR, just getting spread out a little bit. But Viper holding on to their to that gap, and I think Viper with 3 riders are putting a solid show here. So well done, guys. West London VR2 not bad actually. I mean, it's quite a big gap. I mean, it's over a minute between Viper and West London VR2, but this is the first time that VR2 had ever ridden together with some newbies, and it was a little bit ragged in places, understandably. Probably looks better on screen than some of the moments we had with people pinging off the front, but yeah, I think West London VR2 were pretty pleased with it altogether. I mean, they're looking not too shabby at the moment. 4 riders looking like they're actually meaning what they're doing, but it takes a bit of training, and I'm sure Eureka and West London VR2 are full of people who are working towards bigger and better things in the future. If you do get yourself a team up and enter this, and you are new, it will take quite a few rides before you start perfecting the changeovers. So, as we look at West London VR and Viper, these are the 2 teams contesting League 2, of course. West London VR now fairly comfortably ahead, I would say, probably 100 metres or so. But with 3.4 kilometres to go, things can go wrong. They do have the luxury. Sorry, this is West London VR1. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I thought it was VR2. West London VR1, yeah, 100 metres in ahead of Viper. They do have the luxury of... No, they don't actually. It's only 3 riders there, isn't it? No, it is 4 riders. I'll take that back. So as I thought, West London VR1 with 4 riders have a slight advantage over Viper in terms of 100 metres in distance, and a 4th rider to help the cause. Julian Fussell, Ellen Lockett, Warren G and Pete Dickerson all in the mix there, and they're against Hardin, Little and O'Hearn. Erebus, unfortunately for Viper, dropped off, but he'll be back to fight another day, I'm sure. Viper putting up some good shows. They won the first battle between these 2 teams. West London VR won the last one, so this puts it 1 up for West London VR. Should they hold that gap with it all to race for next week. Now, next week we also have some new teams joining, so it's all going to be very, very exciting. Really looking forward to that. So several new teams coming along. They will, of course, have to join in one of the lower leagues. So sometimes you get strong teams down the bottom, but they will be playing catch up for the promotions and relegations, which happen at the end of week 4. Which is next week. So don't miss next week, because everything will get decided. So let's have a look at 3R True 2, who are probably going to win this. They are looking fairly tight. 1.2 kilometres to go. Down to 3 riders. That's probably deliberate. I mean, that's probably a case of, right, you know, we take the strongest 3 and now push the pace up. And some of those may or may not, because we don't watch them continuously, have taken less turns on the front, saving themselves for this big push at the end. Who knows? The guys will be talking to themselves over Discord, and we don't have access to that. Quite rightly, of course. It's private team tactics. They're riding pretty solidly. 47, well, down to 43 now. KPH coasting home. 800 metres. It's looking fairly strong. It's looking like a win. Let's just double check and just see if OTR Blue have put anything special together. I don't know. I'm guessing not, but this is probably 3R True 2's to lose now with 500 metres to go. All consciously aware that it's the 3rd man over the line that counts, and nobody actually going for True 2 Blue 800 metres. So no, I think we can assume that 3R True are going to win this one. 300 metres to go. They're a good few hundred metres ahead. So we watch these 3 guys professionally and very, very smoothly coming home for the win through RGT, taking advantage of a very strong lineup, I would say. So well done them, and they are going to be this week's winners. Of course, the winners, here we go, you see the finishing line. Well done, absolutely splendid, fantastic racing through RG2, very worthy winners. Let's quickly flick over, if we can, to OTR Blue, see these guys come home. They've still got 300 metres to go, so there's going to be a bit of a gap. I suppose it's fair to say that I don't think there's any need for you to make up any particular time if you're going to finish second, as long as the team behind you can't catch you. There's no extra points for getting really, really fast. But look at that, the race is in, and the three go off the front to make sure that the front three get over together, which is very, very, that is good. That is good. Look and learn from OTR Blue. Splendid stuff. And of course, you know, you don't sit up because you've got to make sure that you practice. I mean, because next week it might matter. This is the other tight battle. I think this is probably going to be West London VR1s. This is for third and fourth place on the day. West London VR with that slight advantage of the fourth rider still there. Pete Dickerson, Warren Gardner, Ellen Lockett and Julian Fussell coming up to the lines now. Pretty much four of them there. Pete Dickerson just easing off, letting the three go over, and I know Pete, he will have been quite happy to do that, knowing that the three looks solid for the finish. So they finish ahead of Viper, and that is that leaves it wide open. Well, whichever way that went, that was going to be wide open next week. So whatever you do, don't miss week 4 next week. It's going to be fantastic. West London VR2. Blimey, look, I'm near the front. Tobias York, Gautam Thakkar, Dave Morrison, myself, Eileen Davidson making up the team now. 1.3k to go. You can see that gap between the front two is quite big when you start getting back to the two League 2 teams. I mean, don't read a lot into League 2 because, like I said, the NZ Pro teams are in there and they are incredibly strong. They're only in League 2 because they joined late, and this is quite tidy from VR2. I mean, it's not too shabby. They're actually staying together, or say we are staying together. Eureka here, who I think has been exemplary in staying together throughout this race. Now quite a way behind. If you look on the right hand side, 800 metres for West London VR2, OTR Eureka 2.2 kilometres. So I think we can safely predict the winner of this one as we watch West London VR2 coasting home, and somebody at the back's being a little bit lazy, I suspect. It's that Dave Morrison guy, isn't it? Look at him sitting on the back doing nothing while the other three do all the work. It's Gautam Thakkar leading out Tobias York in the last 500 metres, and look, that Dave Morrison's even sat up and not bothered now. Look, he's letting the other three do all the work. I did frankly sit up and just tell them to go. I'm not a great sprinter, that's for sure. Just waiting up for Eileen there, I think, the other two, because they need to get the third person over the line. She was fantastic. Look at her making that up. No hanging about. And she actually storms to the front as they go into the last 200 metres. Absolutely phenomenal riding from Eileen Davidson from up there in Aberdeenshire. Tobias York from Sweden. Gautam Thakkar from West London as they come in. Look at Eileen go. What a lady, eh? Cracking stuff. Gautam just, yeah, look at that cheeky little so-and-so. He just nicks it, doesn't he? Look at him. So that's that, and I'd say Eureka got a little way to go. They've fallen off. I think the effect of having three riders, only three riders, has probably taken its toll. The All-American team here just winding down the last 1.3 kilometres. So we just have to sort of recap and say, well, you know, with the NZ Pro here, did it open up League 2? Well, probably not. I think NZ Pro are probably, if they're back next week, which they are expected to be, should wrap up the one promotion spot from League 2 to League 1. But, and here's the big question, and this is why you need to be watching, which NZ Pro team is going to get promoted to League 1? Will it be Tumiki or Beach Jazz? Well, you better watch next week to find out, because I think that is going to be an epic battle. OTR Eureka, West London VR2, I am assuming are safe from relegation because I'm not sure what's going to happen. There's new teams joining us next week. I think we've got 2 or 3 new teams joining next week. Whether or not they're going to be put in a new league or added to League Two, I don't know. If the new teams are added, OTR, Eureka and West London VR2 might need to grab sufficient points to avoid a relegation in League 3, which I'm sure they'll be for the next 4 weeks. That's up to James. I'm not saying that is how it will be. James will have a view on that and how he's going to arrange all these new arrivals. But unknown quantities, another reason to be watching next week. This is going to be exciting, isn't it? All to watch for next week. And of course, 3R True 2 and OTR Blue battling now for top spot with West London VR and Viper precariously dicing with relegation. I'm not quite sure what happens if they draw, actually. I'm sure James can enlighten me, and I'm sure it's in the race pack, which I should probably read before I do these commentaries. But we'll look it up before next week, and either Derek or myself will give you the facts should that happen. Well done, OTR Eureka. Great to see you finish tightly, and well played, sirs. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. So, as I say, make sure you're watching next week. This is the final result: 3R True 2, OTR Blue taking the top 2 slots. Let's see how it changed from the time split, shall we? Because West London VR1 lost a lot of time on that time split. If you look, it's basically 30 seconds between OTR Blue and West London VR at 10k. By the end, that's panned out to more like 40 seconds. So OTR Blue have pulled away, but the gap between West London VR1 and 3R True 2 expanded quite a lot. Viper, they were just sort of 15 seconds behind West London VR at the 10k split. Ended up actually slightly closer, didn't they? Look at that, less than 10 seconds. So Viper making up time on West London VR. It suggests that West London VR1 lost time in the last phase because OTR Blue and 3R True 2 moved away from them and Viper got closer. But they held on and they took the 3rd spot in League 1. Viper taking 4th spot, and those two absolutely battling head to head to avoid relegation next week in week 4. So moving down to League 2, as we've said before, NZ Pro not competing, so top spot goes to West London VR2 in their very first race in the series. Looking at the gaps, I mean, obviously, I think we can say, look, just over a minute at the 10k split, and that is over 2 minutes at the finish. So I think OTR Eureka just burning out a little bit with just 3 riders. It's tough. You have to do a few races to really get the hang of it, and I've done a few and still don't have the hang of it. So I'm better than I was, of course, but there we are. This is a fantastic series. It's brought to you by OTR E-Racing. The TV production is ZMS Next Level Streams, of course. I'm Dave Morrison. I'm standing in for Derek Bucott, the regular commentator. I run the West London VR races, which are each alternate Wednesday. So they're not on every Wednesday. They're alternate Wednesdays on Wahoo RGT. I look forward to seeing some of you in those races, and I certainly look forward to next week's Love TTT. Thanks very much for being with us. This is a cracking series. Stay tuned.